quick presentation and basically take this optimized CAD drawing and sort of teach our users a little bit about our product. So what I tend to do is begin editing that material. So it's fairly flat at the moment, but something we can do is jump into our object properties panel. And here we're able to actually affect that standard material and edit the roughness and metalness. So if I crank this up, we're going to get a much more true to product appearance on that model. And generally what we're going to do is build out a product demonstration or a training presentation. So what I'm going to be doing here is bringing in a bit of text about this product. Now I've just copied and pasted this from the Evapco website. And in order to tie this in with that company's branding, I can also bring in their company logo. So I'm going to upload an image. And I'm just going to be positioning this at the front of the machine. Navigating myself out. So we basically have this 3D asset. We have our introductory text. You could also choose to add in some audio recordings as well. You could add in a voiceover of the information you're going over, or potentially instruction explaining to a user how to operate this machinery. And as well as being able to do that, you can also bring in text-to-speech audio too. But what I'm going to do next is add another step in our timeline. And on this next step, I'm going to explode our 3D model to show off some of those internal components. So I'm just dragging away these panels. I'll shrink them down as well. And I'll make those transparent. And just jumping into the 3D model itself, there are a couple of texture changes I'd like to make. Now, as well as being able to, shrinking down my little zoom view, as well as being able to edit the roughness and the metalness of a material, we can also bring in the workshop materials. So this is a library of different materials you could apply to a model. You don't need UVs for this, but one of the great things about the Vantana platform is it does also preserve UVs and textures. So if this model had textures, we could go to that texture menu and apply them in here. But just on this particular one, we're working with our materials. So once I've made these changes, I can then begin animating that 3D model. So something that the model does need is a bit of rotation applied to this fan. So I'm going to apply some spin. And I'm also going to apply some special effects to the front of this model here. So I'm jumping into our free object library. This is a library that contains a number of free models prepared by the Jig team. So you're always free to jump in and find ones that match your use case. In this case, I'm working specifically with some effect materials. And I'm going to be bringing these in. I sit at the front of these copper pipes. Now, for those of you not familiar with the Evapco product, what I'm working with today is one of their evaporative coolers. These are industrial coolers that you would find on top of a building. And I'm just creating a quick demonstration of how they run water through these copper pipes in order to cool down the air that's being circulated through a building. So I'm bringing this effect shape in and I'm aligning it with the sprinkler units that we have on that product here. Now I'm able to change the color of the material. And if I jump into that object properties panel in the top right-hand corner, we have some more advanced tools. And here I can also add an emissive. just to brighten up that color. So I'm going to be adding one to each section here. So I'm just going to add a duplicate across all my steps. And then I can actually copy some of the details from one model to another. So in this case, I'm going to press and hold to copy the current position of that flow effect. And I'll paste it on these other ones, just so they're in perfect alignment when I line them up at the front of our model here. So you can get a bit of a demonstration on how this model is going to work in the field. We're basically taking some fairly standard CAD files and we're able to actually communicate inside of this platform how this is going to work in real life. Now, I do need to make sure that I position these back on the first step so that we're getting that nice transition across our timeline. So we've got our step 1 where we're introducing the product with the company branding, and we have step 2 where we're going into some of the detail of how this product actually works. And very similar to Vantana, in order for us to share this product, we just need to hit save. And then we're able to generate shareable links. So we just go into our share menu. We can click to generate that shareable link. And these jig links can be just opened up by tapping on them. They'll open up in the web viewer or they'll open up on your supported device. So we do have universal AR. It'll work on any modern mobile phone. We do also support iPads and the Apple Vision Pro. So those can be great places to explore your 3D models. And we can also generate QR codes, which can be great to add to product instructions, pamphlets, and emails. And we also have the ability to create those embeddable links. So you just copy that embed code into your website's HTML, and that will allow it to run natively on your website. So there are a number of ways we can utilize this 3D CAD, but it really just opens up that use case so that people are able to take the CAD that they have and create these step-by-step presentations. So I'm going to pass over to Maddie so that we can have a quick look at how this looks in the field with something like the Apple Vision Pro.
Thanks, Laura. So can you all see my screen? All right.
Yes.
So hopefully you've seen how easy it is to create a jig, even though that one was relatively simple. It is intended to be for non-technical individuals from sales, marketing, training teams. And now I want to show you a bit about how these jigs are actually consumed and viewed across all devices. So as mentioned, they're viewable across modern mobile devices, on desktop, via the web. But I wanted to start off with kind of the pinnacle of viewing experiences, which is on Apple Vision Pro. So how our customers primarily use the Apple Vision Pro headset is at trade shows, in high value sales calls, in order to impress prospects, to pull a crowd at an event, and most importantly, to speed up a customer's understanding of their complex product and processes. So, Apple Vision Pro gives a completely hands-free, fully immersive experience, and customers can see processes step by step. They can interact with annotations, which you're seeing on the screen, and they can even pull the model apart. So these sessions can also be run remotely on 2 or more separate devices, and they can be taken from opposite sides of the world. So it feels like you're in exactly the same room and observing exactly the same product. And for footprint and visualization, as you can see on the screen now, it's far more powerful than traditional methods like taping outlines on a customer site. Obviously, for training and maintenance, teams can practice workflow safely without risk or risking expensive equipment. Training can be delivered faster, remotely, and at scale. So obviously, Apple Vision Pro is the most immersive spatial experience, but we also know that it's not as accessible as everyday devices. So Jigs are designed to work on all devices, desktop, mobile, iPad, but one of the most favored devices is iPad because it's portable, it's always on hand, particularly for sales reps, and it allows jigs to be shown both in AR, which you just saw, or in flat mode, which you're seeing right now. So often sales reps will be able to zoom in on exact details in order to explain specific customer needs. And importantly, whether it's at a trade show, in a training module, or a one-on-one sales call, or even in an email with a link, all these experience come from exactly the same jig, which Laura showed you how to create just before in the jig workshop. So as soon as you save it, it's instantly published, and it's a really powerful way to utilize those CAD files to enhance the customer experience, drive understanding, and ultimately get customers to the point of purchase faster or get employees to the point of competency faster. So that's a little bit on the viewing experience. And then I think we were going to jump into a case study on Evapco, which is the model that we've been focusing on today. So as you could see, Evapco has these very large, complex HVAC machines that cost over $200,000 per trade show to ship and display. So for Evapco, traditional sales materials like PowerPoints and brochures failed to capture the scale, the complexity, and the quality of their equipment, slowing down sales cycles and limiting customer comprehension. So Evapco partnered with Jigspace to convert their largest and most complex equipment into portable, interactive 3D jigs, viewable across iPads, iPhones, and Apple Vision Pro. And this gave sales reps a product in their pocket type demo while enabling AR plant tours and immersive trade show experiences without shipping physical machines, which obviously is a cheaper as well as a more environmentally friendly solution. So what this meant for Evapco, they have saved over $500,000 in trade show savings by eliminating shipping, storage, and equipment display costs. Over 100 sales reps are equipped with AR-enabled demos for consistent global engagement. They have faster product comprehension for engineers, owners, and contractors in complex sales cycles. And they've been able to modernize trade show and immersive AR booths that capture more traffic and engagement at these events. They're now looking towards expanding their use of 3D and AR across training, replacement part identification, and operator support as well. So we've seen that that's quite a common flow for customer experiences, starting off in sales and trade shows, and then slowly branching out into training and maintenance using those exact same 3D CAD files. So that's a little bit about how one of our customers is using Jig.
Great. Thank you both so much. I love that it's so easy to add materials and animations because, if you're a manufacturer out there designing in various CAD programs, often the first question is, well, it doesn't look real. I want to add, materials to that. Which if you're having to hire a 3D artist to do that, it's not very scalable. So that's great. I'll pop into one more example case study. So Aztec Industries is one of Ventana's clients. They manufacture equipment for the asphalt and concrete industry. So very similar to Evapco, these massive, massive pieces of equipment that are really difficult to ship somewhere. Even though I have been at World of Asphalt, and it's incredible some of the big equipment that they bring in.
Yeah.
But it's impossible to show everything. And so they actually design in SolidWorks as well as create some really fascinating simulation models in ANSYS and Altair to show how the equipment works. And these files were just way too big to even share with people, even on a laptop. They were having to bring big desktop computers to places or do screen share with someone remote, and it just wasn't scalable. So they started using Ventana to become that central hub for all their 3D content, where the engineers were able to upload all their files, no matter what engineering program it came from. And then we instantly made it web ready. So sales, marketing, training, any team could grab the files that were compatible with various end platforms like Jig or their learning management system or other. So we really help them unlock all of their engineering CAD files versus, building custom one-off experiences with agencies. And it resulted in them closing, huge deals, being able to leverage AR within Quest headsets and others, reduce their sales cycle. You're hearing us say this a lot because it really just helps the client understand that product better, faster, um, and significantly reduce the time it took to create these types of 3D and AR experiences because of the automated processing. The other thing with this centralized hub for 3D, they're really able to leverage 3D across their entire network, including down to maintenance and real-time monitoring. So they actually have a software platform that they sell with their pieces of equipment, that's has 3D visualization now because of Ventana automatically through our API publishes those 3D assets into this platform so a customer can pull up, that piece of equipment and see in real time the different parts. Because with maintenance, one of the number one problems for downtime is, of course, needing a part to be replaced and waiting too long to do that. And when you have a 3D model, it's so much easier to find exactly that piece because you might not know the SKU number or what to order, but if you can see it visually and click on that piece, you know what to order. So kind of bringing it back to that digital thread that we talked about in the beginning. If you can have your 3D and digital twin content easily accessible and tied across that life cycle of your product from design to manufacturing, sales and marketing and maintenance, you can drive huge ROI for your business in reducing sales cycles, speeding up that time to win, improving training for your people, as well as streamlining that maintenance and after sale market sales for people. So I hope this was helpful. If anybody has questions, you can put them in the chat. Uh, and while we wait to see if any of the audience has questions, I've got a few questions for the Jig team. So, we went over kind of some two pretty heavy industrial equipment use cases. What are the industries you're seeing benefit from this type of experience?
Yeah, so predominantly our customer base is in manufacturing, but obviously manufacturing is a very broad industry. Essentially, it's any product that is heavy or difficult to explain, but sometimes it's even just a better way to for customers to consume knowledge. Like we have obviously a customer like Avapco, huge heavy machinery, but then we also have an Australian toy company that wants to engage kids on how to actually build one of their toys. So it's a better way to demonstrate those step-by-step instructions. So I guess the thing about any physical product is it starts its life as a CAD file. So if you have access to that CAD file, which you will if you're in one of these industries, there's often a way to make more meaningful and more engaging assets using those CAD files. So yeah, that's a very broad answer, but essentially we see customers across a lot of different industries.
Yeah, and that's I think so important. Especially if you're in sales and marketing, if you're in an area that you're like, I don't know if we have CAD files, don't be afraid to ask because you
Yes.
probably do. And the other part is, engineering can often be hesitant to share those because it is your IP. It's extremely important to protect. And that's something I didn't point out, but you can check the box on Ventana, remove obstructed geometry. So you can remove all the internals and just hand someone the shell. And so it makes it incredibly safe because it'd be the same of someone walking up to your trade show and taking a photo of your equipment and trying to rebuild it, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
um,
Yeah, we didn't go into this feature today in the demo, but we do also have a library within Jigspace. So how a lot of our customers work, particularly with sensitive models, is they will have their approved products saved to that team object library. So whether it's the engineering team or someone on the technical team who uploads the model, make sure that it's all approved, saves it to the team object library, and then all those non-technical teams, sales, marketing, training, have access to that approved model. And going back to the issues that you were discussing before, Ashley, it completely breaks down that traditional silo between engineers and customer facing teams or non-technical teams. They now have access to that 3D CAD file and can make meaning with it.
That's great. And that kind of leads me to my next question. What is the best way to get started if you're a company just starting to explore this type of content?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, if anyone on this call or who's watching this recording wants to reach out, we can run you through how customers typically use Jigspace. But what it usually looks like is um, we have the champion, whoever's interested in learning about Jigspace, will help them get access to those CAD files. We'll help them optimize those CAD files using a tool like Vantana, if required, or they can drop them straight into Jigspace if they're already in a pretty good state. And then we take them through a certification process. So over a few weeks, depending on the complexity of the jigs and how many people are going through this certification journey. We will teach them all the features. We'll teach them best practice for their specific use case. We obviously have quite a feature-rich tool, and those features are used in very different ways depending on who the end customer is. So we kind of tailor the training to that specific use case and industry. And then within a month, they should be ready to start making those jigs themselves. And yeah, we usually anchor the first rollout to a specific project or a specific trade show, just so that we have that definitive time in mind, and then we can start exploring further use cases from that point onwards.
That's great. Yeah, I'd say with Ventana, it's interesting because we generally start with some of those engineers who are like, sales and marketing keeps asking me for all this stuff, and I don't
Yeah.
have time
Yeah.
to give
Yes,
it to
exactly.
them. And so I'm like, oh, you can upload a Ventana, optimize, and send them what they need for Jig.
Yes,
So,
exactly. That's
uh,
no, we see a lot of customers using that exact flow.
that's great. That's great.
Yeah,
Well,
and some of our customers really need assets that contain things like textures, logos. Some of those companies already have their models sort of pre-prepared for specific platforms. So it's been really good exploring Vantana's tools and seeing how you're able to preserve that detail. Often when you optimize a model, it sort of can jankify how those textures sit, but you're preserving the UV maps, which is really good for preserving that detail. And the branding, I think, is something companies are really sort of conscious about. They want their products to look good at the end of their process. So that's been really good to see how you've built out custom pipelines.
thanks. Yeah, I mean, the team has been working for years on that, but
Yeah.
the thing that we were, kind of the last thing I'll say that we were chatting about before this started was the level of realism and what's really needed for what use case. I think sales, marketing obviously wants it to look as real and beautiful as possible, which is great that you have that option to add materials and tweak the animations. But if this is for maintenance and training, it's really just about learning or finding that part you need or understanding it. And so something I always suggest to people, especially just getting started, is don't wait for perfection. Get something up as quickly as possible, get feedback and kind of learn from there and move on. But yeah, I think I need to take your certification class so I can start making some jigs from some of our equipment. But yeah, it looks like we don't have any other questions. So, Laura and Maddie, thank you so much for joining me and excited to continue to work with you all.
No
Yeah,
problem.
thank you.